Mike's wrong.
Here she comes. Okay, thank you. She just walked in. Yeah. Probably why she was kind of. She's coming.
How's Don?
He's okay. He's medicated and it's in the
Mr. Chairman, you're up.
Very good.
Good evening and welcome to the Spalding County Board of Commissioners regular meeting. It is Monday, March 4th at 6 p.m. I would request that you please silence your cell phones and all other electronic devices. At this time, I'd like to ask the executive pastor for Eagles Way, Will Doss, and the board member from the Board of Education and the Archway co-chair to deliver the invocation.
Covered all.
Thank you. I appreciate the introduction. And Ms. Flowers Taylor, I understand your husband has just gotten released from the hospital, so if you're okay with me mentioning him in my prayer,
that's
I would be
fine.
happy to do that. Father, Lord, we just thank you for this day. Lord, I thank you for Griffin Spalding County. I thank you, Father, Lord, for each and every citizen in this community. I pray, Father, Lord, during this time of flu and sickness season, that, Father, Lord, you'll keep everyone safe, a hedge of protection. Lord, we thank you that Don is able to release from the hospital. I pray, Father, Lord, that you'll continue, Father, Lord, to give this board the wisdom and the direction, Lord, that they need in all of the business that they do. Lord, we pray for the ability, Father, Lord, for our citizens to be able to prosper and to grow and to thrive, and that the decisions that we're able to make to be able to help in that process. I thank you, Father, Lord, that you will just continue to bring unity, Father, Lord, amongst all of this community. I thank you, Father, Lord, that as we have celebrated the year of recovery from tornadoes and different things, and as we move into this time of springtime and the freshness and the growing, that you will allow that freshness and growing to happen, Lord, in all of our lives. And I pray all of this in your precious name. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
If you would, please join me in the pledge allegiance to our flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, gentlemen. Item number 4, presentations and proclamation. Parks, Public Grounds, and Public Works dashboard will be presented by Director Imberger.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. Pleasure to be here with you this evening. Let me get my stuff ready. Work through the tech stuff. Okay. All right, Ms. Reagan's going to handle it for us. This dashboard is including data from the parks maintenance crews and does not include data from leisure services. We have 23 parks within our system. And you'll see here various facilities that we have and listing the numbers. Some examples: 25 playgrounds, 8.5 miles of walking trails, 6 miles of mountain bike trails, 3 lakes, skate park, 50 forward center, community garden, dog park. You'll see we have varied facilities. This is not a complete list. This is just our major items. NRPA, National Recreation and Parks Association, designates an average acres of parkland per 1,000 residents, and we are in a category of 50,000 to 99,000, and they advise that we should have 9.2 acres per 1,000 citizens. Spalding County has 68,000 residents, so 9.2 acres would be 625 total acres is what's recommended by the national standard. And Spalding County currently has 786 acres of parks and recreation land. So we are above the national average by 161 acres. This is our system-wide cost analysis process. This is the process that we utilize to build our dashboards and to develop our data. We start with a static park inventory. We move with the national averages. We'll compare local against the national. Then we'll do a whole system maintenance and operation cost analysis. Then we go to individual park amenity inventory, determine the individual park maintenance and operation costs. And then we create asset cost tracking based on those numbers. Then we utilize that for asset maintenance and operation baselines. So baselines are our goals. The goal tracking then begins. We then look for adjustments that we can make so that we can optimize our efficiency levels. And then throughout that entire process, we'll be creating data that we could use for other purposes. Currently, we are in the process, we have completed the top 4, and we will be moving through the process here in the future. So when we create that data, we use that for several different scenarios. One, we can maintain our efficiency levels. We create budgets. It's effective maintenance decisions. And then we could utilize this for our capital decisions. So we could do forecasting and planning for the future. This is our crew level task that we do. This is how we develop the dashboards that the crews utilize on a daily basis. We start with the tasks that they're performing daily. We input that data into our system. Then we have a learning curve in reference to making sure that we're getting the correct data and we have the correct abilities to put that in. Then we refine that data to make sure we're collecting the correct data. Then we have daily tasks per crew utilized, so we determine what the actual tasks we'll be recording. And then we create data analysis. And currently we have the top items done, and we'll be doing the bottom items in the future. Now, that's a process we're doing now. Now, we do have all the data, so we'll take that data analysis.
TJ?
Yes.
May I ask a question?
Yes.
Did you do this during the work session?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry I wasn't here. How is this different than the facility do dashboard that's, I'm looking at what the, the crew information, the data input. How is this different from that?
So we utilize the work system to get the data, to get the numbers. So as they input into the work order system, and they do their work orders each day, then those numbers get inputted, and then we draw that out in Excel format, and then we create our dashboards from there.
So you are not able to do that with facility do?
We are able to collect the data, and then we put it into the format that is most helpful for y'all, the county, and our individual crews. We will be moving to a new format, but that's probably going to be discussed in the near future.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. So we take the data analysis and we can use that for our crew routes. So we can review the routes that they're utilizing. We can make adjustments accordingly. And then our routes are maximized for efficiency. We could also review our costs and then develop a maintenance plan from there. Our facility maintenance cost then gets analyzed, and then we could build a capital plan. Everything on this particular slide results into savings and efficiency. So here is an example of a crew level dashboard. This is one particular crew. This is Parks East. Oh, now I need my pointer. I won't touch anything else. No, I just need this. All right, and as you can see here, this is one crew. We have it divided amongst weeks, each week for the year. You have 2 bar graphs here. You have green, which represents parks acreage cut that week, and then blue is grounds facility that is cut that week. So each of our parks crews does some of both. What you'll see here is a blue line. That would be their optimum goal for a week in grounds. And then the green line is their optimum goal per week in parks. The red line indicates to us how much it's costing us to actually cut per acre. So you can see over here that we have the acreage, and then over here we have our dollar amounts. This is extremely helpful so that the crew itself can go ahead and take a look at what they did the week before. They could also get this information daily, and then our supervisors can review on a weekly basis as well. So
TJ,
as
I have a question, another
Yes.
question. Why does for under 20 acres, the cost for cutting is under 20 acres is less than $1,500 an acre, but the cost for cutting over 60 is $4,500? It seems like the more you cut, the less it should cost because you're already out there, you don't have that coming and bringing the equipment. Can you explain that to us, please?
So there will be some anomalies in reference to maybe how the data is actually brought in. So as you can see here, this is 0 because they were on vacation or they had a sickness in the family. Sometimes when we see something of this peak, our supervisors will catch on to that and they'll go review the data from the week before. Then additionally, the data is by the hour. So maybe there was something special that had to be done at that facility. There could have been springtime when they were doing some tree trimming or something of that nature. Once again, this is operational. So as we work through this, we've been doing this for a year now, we could start picking out those anomalies and start registering that into data that we could use to change. And you'll see some of those results here shortly. Okay, next. So this is the same. This is our Parks East 2, and you can see the same information based on that particular crew. So this is the expenditures that NRPA recommends. Now, NRPA comes up with all these numbers by doing surveys throughout the country. We actually participate, and it factors in all sizes of parks divisions and departments. This is from one-man departments all the way up to large cities like Chicago or Pittsburgh and everything in between. They factor in departments from all over the country. All of the states are represented. So they indicate that the national average for expenditures per acre is $8,100. If you'll take our budget of $2.6 million, and we, first of all, for the first calculations, we'll divide this into active and passive. So active will be a park where there's a lot going on, a Tyus Park, a Fairmont, City Park. And then passive will be a park that there's not as many large facilities. Corey's Edge, Dundee Lake, the dog park. And then we go ahead and divide those up to get our acreage total. And then we'll first do the math on active parks. Keep on going. So if you take our total and just factor in active acreage only, we're at $7,100, or we would be $909 below the national average. If we then look at just passive and use our 418 acres, we're at $6,300 or $1,700 below the national average. Now, when I combine everything and you do the math as a whole, we are actually maintaining acreage for $3,300 per acre. That's $4,700 below the national average. So, when we take the $3,300 per acre cost to estimate our maintenance costs, we could use that also for future prediction, future budgeting. We know, generally speaking, it's going to be about $3,600 per park acre. So if we were going to add a 10-acre park, we would know we could factor in about $36,000. Now, that does not include large capital expenditures like rec centers, aquatic centers, and large buildings. But as an average and a whole, we have a good starting point for budget purposes. So just to give you some examples, when you take those numbers and factor them in, Tyus Park's about $550,000 annually. City Park is $173,000. Dog Park's about $128,000. And then Parks at Oaks, you can see, is a very small neighborhood park, and we're at about $12,000. So these are general examples. Later on, I think in about a year or so, we'll be able to divide these even up greater when we start factoring in weighted costs with rec centers included and not included. This is how we start our dashboards for our individual crews. We just list over here line items that come out of our budget, and then we list specific crews that are already pre-built depending on the tasks that they do. We pre-assign cost per hour for these crews. That includes equipment, includes vehicles, administrative costs, equipment maintenance, even down to weed eater maintenance. So this gives you some general examples here. Fairmont Park here is $123,000. Volunteer Park is about $160,000. What you see here is the hours per week or the item per week that's included. That only changes in utilities. So when you see electric, we take the actual electric cost. This is our totals in this column. And then I thought I'd separate out some of the labor costs so that you can see what our officers cost for that particular facility and task, and then also the value of our inmate labor. So you can see what that value is per facility.
Based on what, TJ?
Based on the hours that it takes to maintain the facility.
No, I mean in terms of how you value the inmate
So we
labor.
value inmates at approximately $13 an hour.
So I hear what you're saying, but that's not really what it costs us.
That's
Because we don't pay inmates anything.
correct, but there is a cost to have them. So we maintain, and there's a value to them, so we assign a value dollar amount.
Okay.
Go ahead. So this is our results as a total. We have 786 acres. If we were to use the national number, and this is what you see throughout parks around the country, our budget should be or would be 6.3 million, and we are doing that particular work and providing the exact same service at a savings of $3.7 million based on the national average. That's it.
Way to go, TJ.
Would entertain any questions?
Excuse me for interrupting after you. All right,
Thank you.
any questions?
No, we covered a lot,
TJ,
covered a
on the
lot during
dashboard?
the work session, so I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thanks,
All right.
TJ.
Thank you. Director Imberger. Item number 5, citizen comments. Speakers must sign up prior to the meeting and provide their names, addresses, and the topic they wish to discuss. Speakers must direct your comments to the board and not to individual commissioners or to the audience. Personal disagreements with the individual commissioners or county employees are not to be a matter of public concern, and personal attacks will not be tolerated. The chairman has the right to limit your comments in the interest of disposing of the county's business in an efficient and respectful manner. Speakers will be allocated 3 minutes to speak on their chosen topics as they relate to matters pertaining to the jurisdiction of the Board of Commissioners. No questions will be asked by any of the commissioners during citizen comments. Outbursts from the audience will not be tolerated. Common courtesy and civility are always expected during the meeting. No speakers will be permitted to speak more than 3 minutes or more than once unless the board votes to suspend the rule. Dr. Ledbetter, is there someone signed up to speak?
Yes, sir, there is. Ricky Taylor, if you would come forward, state your name and your address for the record, please.
My name is Rick Taylor. I live at 1616 Bevel Drive, Griffin, Georgia. I read in the paper yesterday that where on page 2, that you were making a decision about getting the audit for some money that was disappeared. And I guess I have a sort of a combination of questions. And then then I read that the Budget and Finance Director, Ms. Garrison, advised the board, the commissioners, last fall, I think the paper said, that of this money missing. In one statement, it was $1.5 million. and another place that said $5 million. So was that $6.5 million missing? And then it said if we got another audit, it would cost $1 million to get the audit done. I wished I was in the auditing business, but at the same time, my question is this: why can't you look at the audit that was already taken to see where the money went? If somebody took it, it should show up. That's all I need to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Sir?
Julia Maloney. Melanie.
Melanie. Everybody says it wrong, it's okay. Thank you.
We appreciate
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
And I'm gonna give
No
you
worries.
one, I've just gotta,
All right.
I've gotta use this for.
Thank you.
Hello, Julia Maloney, 916 Hamilton Boulevard. I come tonight to speak with y'all about some ideas for the animal shelter. Commissioner Dunn had told us at the last meeting if we have ideas, then to bring them before the commissioners. And what those are is these are just guidelines, shelter guidelines from the American Veterinarian Association as well as the Veterinarian Shelter Association. For socialization, play dates, there are some policies at the shelter that have existed for a very long time. They're a little old and outdated, where, you know, dogs can't be together, dogs that are non-aggressive can't be together, or cats. And I really think that we should consider what the veterinarians are saying about that and see about, you know, maybe changing some of those policies, ideas for the shelter. And I wanted to thank the warden and the Board of Commissioners for, especially the warden, for putting together that class that he put together for us. It was an excellent class. It was very informative. We really appreciate working with volunteers and appreciate everything you guys are doing to try to improve everything at the shelter. And I just thought maybe instead of getting into, you know, a long lecture, just providing the information. And I've highlighted the important stuff that the veterinarians are saying should be, you know, standard for shelters, which I think for a lot of shelters, they are. And I think we could organize this really easily here in Spalding. We do have the dog runs coming. Dogs could be around each other in the runs. Maybe a volunteer could be outside with the leash with the dog while it's in the run to assess behavior, see if these dogs could be friends, let them have play dates, so that we're not isolating animals to the point that they become aggressive with one another. Because the vast majority of people that are going to come and adopt dogs are going to be people that have dogs. So that was mainly it. I just figured what's in the packet is the best information for you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Patsy Kingsley.
Hi, I'm Patsy Kingsley, 204 Hillendale Drive here in Griffin. I'm also here to talk about the animal shelter, just with some basic information. If you ever watch Price is Right, they have a show called, or a game called Now and Then for Prices. I'm going to sort of do that. I've been a volunteer there in the cat room, the cat lady, for about 1.5 years. And when I first started, it was wonderful. I would go in, and any compatible cat would be out with other compatible cats. I mean, you would walk in and they would be out for hours, 10, 12, 14 cats. They're still back to where they can't get out. I asked about, do they ever get out? And I was told that if somebody comes in to look at them, to adopt them, they can be out then and it's usually, I've been in there when people looked at them, it's about 2 to 3 minutes. So other than that, they're still in their cubies. Back 1.5 years ago, the food was a mixture of what was donated. All that was poured into a big bin, so they didn't get any one specific brand. No cat was there a really long time, months. Most cats were out within a month to 6 weeks, either to adopted or to another rescue or something such as that. They were spayed or neutered fairly soon after coming into the shelter. They had their intake medicines spayed or neutered, so they were ready for the $35 adoption. Pregnant cats, they did come in pregnant. They were sent to a rescue somewhere so they could go into a foster home. They rarely delivered at the shelter. It was more, came in, boom, and they were kittens. And then they moved them out as soon as they could. And their pictures of the intakes were on social media within a couple of days. People knew they could look on there and see if their dog or cat had been found or was at the shelter. Now, there are there's a mama and her 5 kittens. They're all 4 to 6 months old. And then the 3 triplets, they all look alike. They don't get, the kittens don't get out. They are kept in their little cubies. And unless somebody comes to look at them, they don't get out. The food is still only the meow mix, even the kittens at 4 to 6 months. And even, there is a possibly pregnant one there. She's not quite far enough along to figure out if she's definitely pregnant. She's getting meow mix. I asked, do you have kitten food? And was told, I don't know, I'd have to go look. They're really concerned because they don't let them out because of infection. There's a fan blowing in that room. A fan blowing. One cat hasn't been verified as being spayed, even though she has a tipped ear. She's been there since January 4th.
Thank you, Ms. Kinsley. We appreciate it.
Miss Allison Burley.
Evening. My name's Allison Burley. I live at 2785 Highway 81 West in Hampton. All right, well, good evening. I just want to say that to say thank you to all of you, the commissioners and our county manager, because after the last meeting that we were all here in the beginning of February, we just felt an outpouring of support from all of you. Some of you talked to different ones of us, but we all just felt really embraced and felt like, oh my gosh, they really do care about the shelter and they really do want to make a difference in the county with the shelter. And we felt that way then and we feel that way now. We just are very thankful for that. We're just thankful that this time has come. And Steve Ledbetter, I hope it's all right that I wrote down a few things that you said, but for me, this just brings me a lot of joy. You said, things need to change. We need to do something different. We need to bring leadership into that position to move the facility forward. And then you talked about 3 dog runs that are going to be completed by the end of this month. And I'm excited about that because the dogs, as we all know, need daily exercise. And they still don't get that. They just don't, not yet. It's coming, we hear, but it's not there yet. So we're looking forward to the runs. We're looking forward to maybe some inmates could run them around more outside. We're seeing a little more of that than used to. So that's really good. I feel like it's progress. It's baby steps. Also, something very exciting that's happened recently that I'm sure all of you are aware of are 10 of our dogs recently were taken on a Saturday to get spayed and neutered. And this is the first time that's happened since I've been there, and I've been there almost 6 months. So I feel like this is a great thing. This is just real progress because the dogs now can, once they're all the way healed, then they can be adopted out for $35, and maybe the cost being lower because the county has set apart this extra money. It's going to empty out the shelter a little bit. We'll have less dogs. They'll have a bigger kennels because of that. And then these dogs will have a home, which is that's all we want. We want them to be happy and loved and in a home. So thank you so much for supporting volunteers and the shelter and the animals at the shelter.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Stan Gordon.
Hello, thanks for having me. Stan Gordon, I live in Orchard Hill, District 2. Want to talk a little bit about the other side of this. I had an issue with a stray animal in my yard the other day. It was a dog. It was a pit bull mix. My wife was at home. I was not. She tried to get the animal shelter to pick the dog up, and they wouldn't because they had deemed the dog was not a dangerous animal or aggressive animal. And that seems to be what the policy is if you have an animal, a stray animal in your yard. Unless it's dangerous and is going to bite you, the animal shelter will not pick it up. It's up to you to take care of the animal however you are supposed to do that. When I got home from work, a couple of days later, the dog barked at me, growled. I called the animal shelter the next day, spoke with the officer there. I won't say her name. She told me the dog wasn't aggressive because she knew the dog. She had already seen the dog at another residence where someone else had called about the dog, and she'd already deemed that the dog was not aggressive, so I couldn't get her to come get the dog. And she referred me to the county manager if I had an issue with that. So I called the county manager, left a message. Haven't heard from him yet, but it's only been a couple of days. After that, well, as I was on the phone with her, she said, you know, if you've got an emergency or a problem, you can call 911. So I did. Sheriff's Department, deputy comes out, looks at the dog, says the dog's not dangerous. I said, well, the dog is dangerous. No, it's not. So, you know, he's determined it's not. So, hey, sir, there's nothing I can do. We're full at the animal shelter. Spalding County has always been a no-kill county. We can't do anything about that. I happen to know that's not true, and I told him that, and he didn't respond. So the good thing is the dog left. I didn't have to kill it. I didn't have to do anything with it. The dog left, so I'm happy about that. But I got to thinking about it, and I went to the website for the shelter, and there's no guidance except some frequently asked questions on there. And one of the questions is, can I turn an animal into the shelter? And there's no answer to that. There's an answer to every one of the frequently asked questions, but not to that one. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Then I visited the Spalding County Code of Ordinances, and I looked at those ordinances, and they're wildly different from the policies that I'm being told are the current policies. Wildly different. And I wasn't so sure I was looking at the right thing, but I called at the shelter and talked to the administrator, and she said, yes, that is what we go by. Well, it's not. And specifically, section 12-1015 on impoundment, 12-1016 on fee schedule miscellaneous regulations. We're not doing that. I
Thank you,
just
Mr.
need
Gordon.
somebody to tell me what the policy is so I know. Okay, and if someone can do that before I leave here today, that'd be great. And I've got all that right here.
Mr. Michael Middlebrooks.
Good evening, folks. Michael Middlebrooks, 1108 Maple Drive. I got a couple of subjects to discuss or bring to light. I've emailed a couple of questions, but I just want to bring them out here. At the last meeting, there was two different statements about assessments coming up for the next assessment period, and basically giving us citizens a warning that the assessments were going to have a 19% increase. I've emailed the assessor's office and the board of assessors. I've been told by both parties that I emailed that any projection is premature. So I don't know where the 19% number comes from. They won't own it, but it came out here. And I just can't fathom in the current economy how an assessment of properties is gonna be pre-calculated at 19% in Spalding County, considering interest rates the way they are. Houses are sitting on the market a lot longer than they were. Yes, they're still selling, but I think there's a lot of anomalies that go along with that. I'll leave that there. So the second part that I wanted to discuss was the fire truck issue. And I've heard the at the last several meetings about the totaled fire truck on 1941, what the replacement cost is. We know about the fire with the other truck, the ladder truck. We know what the replacement cost is. What I have not heard, and I can't seem to find anywhere, and I expect I'll get the answer I'm looking for, because I have emailed Miss Erica about it. But I wanted to bring it up because I haven't heard what's coming back to the county from the insurance companies. So the person that totaled out the truck on 1941, did they have insurance? Number one, if they did, what was their coverage level? So how much is the county actually gonna be out of pocket to replace these trucks? Same thing with the fire. Are we self-insured at the county level on the fire that destroyed the ladder truck? If we are, then I'd like to know if we're self-insured, or do we have a policy that covers a payback? Because I'm hearing the cost, but I'm not hearing what's gonna come back as a supplement to it. So I want everybody to understand, citizen-wise, yeah, we gotta pay $1.5 million for a fire truck, but we have 700,000 coming back in insurance payments, or whatever the case may be. I don't know the numbers, and that's why I'm here to bring it to light, because I know that with discussions I've had with other people, everybody's asking the same question that I've talked to is, how much insurance is there?
Thank you, Mr. Middlebrook.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman. This might be one of those opportunities where Steve might be, because that was said, it was stated in the last meeting. Could you like do a 30-second, this is how much?
It's the fair market value I think we talked about, but talk about that.
Yes, ma'am.
The depreciated fair market value, right? Yeah, it really is the depreciated fair market value for both of the vehicles. The fire truck that was totaled on 1941 was approximately 11 years old. When we purchased that vehicle, the county paid roughly $230,000 for that vehicle because the supply chain was in a much better position at the time. The economy was better. When all the dust settled from the insurance claim that we filed with the contractor who actually struck and totaled that vehicle, they did have insurance. We were able to recuperate $133 roughly $1,000 out of the almost $1 million cost of the fire truck. With respect to the ladder truck that suffered just total damage inside of the fire bay, we do carry a general liability insurance policy with ACCG, and the damage that was done to the fire station, we have a $25,000 deductible for that, but we were able to work with the insurance company to recuperate about 60% of what the total bill is going to be. So that's good on just the fire station. With respect to the fire truck, it is a $1.5 million repurchase for that vehicle. And again, the vehicle was much older and cost a lot less than the depreciated value. Will wind up netting us about $130,000 worth of return on that money. So the county will be out $1.37 million for the recoup of that truck. Remember that we did have a conversation about the ISO requirements that the county has with respect to the ladder truck, and that was the only ladder truck that we had in service. So we are working diligently to have that vehicle returned to service, but we are, the way the supply chain is working right now, we are 24 months away from receiving the replacement. And we begged and pleaded to get in line. That did not cost us any additional funds to ask for that expeditious work. So for that, we're very thankful, but we will be without a ladder truck. We'll be relying on mutual aid for the next 24 months to support our efforts for ladder trucks.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Anybody else to sign up?
No, sir, that's all who have signed up this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 6, minutes. Consider approval of the minutes of the Spalding County Board of Commissioners Extraordinary Session on February 19th, 2024, and the Spalding County Board of Commissioners Zoning Public Hearing on February 22nd, 2024. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. 5-0. Thank you. Motion carries. New business. We would like to recognize Sheriff Dix in the retirement of Spalding County Sheriff's Officer K9K and consider awarding this retiring K9 to her handler, Deputy Jacob Strock. Good evening, Sheriff.
Spoke with Deputy Strock today, just kind of get some more update on Akai. Akai has been in service now for between 5 and 6 years, but the issue that he's starting to have is issues with his hips. He's become arthritic. He has to take medication for that, and there's also been some diminishment in eyesight that he is also being treated from. He is not going to last very much longer in his current capacity, and we feel like the right thing to do and the humane thing to do is just to go ahead and turn him over to Jacob. He has been a phenomenal canine, absolutely was worth the investment, and we just really believe that it needs to end this way, you know, for him.
Okay. We need a motion to approve. All right, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. 5-0, motion carries. Thank you, Sheriff. We appreciate
Sheriff,
it.
this might be something we should get a picture of. So if Jacob is willing to bring Akai with him, maybe we could get a picture next time.
Absolutely. No problem at all. We'll make that happen.
Thanks, Sheriff. Item number 2, consider request from T.J. Emberger, Director of Parks, Public Grounds, and Public Works, to approve repairs to the Airport Road Park Walking Trail.
Distraught over that.
Director Emberger.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. I'll just let you do it. This one? Oh, this is all we got? Okay. Well, then what I'll do is, and to continue from what we presented at the workshop, we had an injury reported to us on the play structure. More specifically, a child tripped on the rubber surfacing. This play structure was installed in approximately 2006. You can see here pictures of the patching that we do to the rubber. The red coloring is just a coloring, and the impact attenuation material is actually below it. There's never any threat to not have the impact fall zone intact. And then at Airport Road, you can see our walking trail. That's current conditions. This is the second version of the rubber trail there. As you notice, facility is open 24 hours. Currently, the rubber trail is scheduled for replacement this year under the impact fee program. The play structure is actually scheduled to be replaced in 2026 under impact fees. I'm requesting to expedite the playground and to ask for you to move that forward to this year so that we could do these projects together. We would also see some savings in reference to using the same contractor.
Chair, one thing that I didn't ask earlier, what moves, if we expedite this up, that means something else has to move down. What moves?
Talk to the mic, please. I'm sorry.
So, right, the impact fees we have budgeted sort of as a yearly thing. And we had planned, you know, this sort of laid out by year. So if we move this up, something has to move down into that. You know what I'm saying? Like what?
So it's my understanding that, well, I'll be corrected if I'm wrong, that the funds are currently available in reference to like savings from other projects and then the income that's being brought in. And then of course y'all raise those fees. Right, I don't think it'll affect any current projects.
And you're just taking the project from 2026 and moving it up to 2023?
Correct. It'll be moved now so that we
Yes.
could bid the projects. Well, we'll actually do the
conjunction
projects
with it.
together, yes.
Great.
Now, do we have to actually vote on you doing that, or just make the request as far
Yeah,
as?
because we got to move the timeline of stuff.
All right, do I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Okay, excuse me.
More
Do you have a
discussion.
second?
I'll have a second, just so I can ask a question.
Yep, discussion now?
TJ, what is actually wrong with that playground equipment, except for the fact that it was put in 2006?
So what happened with the child is when they fell, they actually struck the bottom of the transfer station, and there's some of the rubber coming through the floor of the base of the piece, and then it's exposing metal. So you're having that happen throughout the structure itself. That comes strictly from wear, from all the children playing. Basically, they're wearing out the rubber of the decks. So it's exposing the metals. So repairs, based on what was reported to us, would be approximately $7,000 to $80,000.
On the playground equipment or on the flooring?
That would be both, right?
So, yeah, like, I haven't been out there in a while, and I can understand that if you fall into metal, I don't care if you got a piece on the edge or not, you're gonna hit metal. I mean, I think this is, and this is not a complaint. I think that this is good. I'm glad that it's in the planning, but, you know, it took 60 years to get the playground equipment at Fairmont done. And so clearly there was no game plan for playground equipment. So you're saying that we had already planned to schedule to replace this after 20 years, because this is 18 years old, right?
Yes, ma'am. It was put in, you put this in the impact fees several years ago.
Okay.
Hey, can you tell us what the impact fees are and what we can spend that money on?
So the impact fees comes from the,
Just for this, like,
no, wait, yes, sir. So it's the impact of new development, either residential or commercial. Y'all set those fees accordingly per resident or per square footage. And then it's designated with recommendations from you to DCA. They approve those funds. Primarily, it's used for equipment for fire, sheriff, books at the library, and then parks. So a lot of your neighborhood parks have already been constructed with these funds.
and that's all we can use that money for?
What you and
what they
DCA
have set aside
designate,
for?
yes, sir. That's correct.
So, may I? So the track looks like this. Clearly, anybody can fall.
Yes,
Are we
ma'am.
still allowing people to walk on it in this condition?
As of this time, yes.
So, I mean, so if we're concerned about someone tripping in the playground area, we should also be concerned about people tripping on the track. The other thing I wanted to ask you is that none of these spots that we see on here are actually at the bottom, down by the playground where the water pools. Does that look worse than any of these? Because I know that that area has been replaced about 4 times.
Yes, ma'am. This represents the track as a whole.
Okay. All right, that was all, that was my question.
Is this just to spot fix these, or are we resurfacing the whole track?
We'll take it all up and do brand new, and we'll use a new process as we discussed in the workshop.
Cool.
And when we talked about the liability issue earlier, we hit that.
Okay.
Okay. Any more discussion? All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. 5-0, motion carries. Thank you, TJ, for your work on this. Item number 3, consider request from TJ Imberger, Director of Parks, Public Works, and Public Grounds, to surplus vehicles and equipment that served our community well. Director, go ahead, excuse me.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. We presented to you a list of 55 pieces of vehicles and equipment for surplus. As you know, in the last 2.5 years, we've had an aggressive surplus program. So far, we've obtained approximately $150,000. We also have received additional savings because as these vehicles sit in our boneyard, they still have insurance coverage on them. So we would request that these be surplused. I'd like to make a note that anything related to the sheriff's office, we work directly with them, so those funds can be brought back to where they need to be. Some equipment may have been forfeited or is part of a grant, so we work directly with them. I would also like to request, as we've had in the past, that proceeds from this sale, other than what goes to the sheriff's department, be utilized to purchase new equipment and or trucks directly for the public services divisions.
Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion?
The Walking Dead got a new spinoff. Some of these might be good props for them. these are looking pretty, pretty surplusy. Is that a?
They can use them.
Okay, Commissioner Flowers Taylor?
So, TJ's request for this, the money from this to, I told you I wasn't gonna get at you, but I'm not getting at you, I'm just talking.
Yes, ma'am, I understand.
So requested, instead of that money going into the general fund and staying in the general fund, they're requesting that it be allocated back to their department for equipment. But part of the reason that these vehicles are in surplus is that because we have been adding $1 million to the Public Works budget for roads and otherwise the past 3 years. So,
2 years.
on 2 years ago, I would have been saying, yeah, give them that money. But if you're still getting $1 million a year, what is the $150,000 really gonna do? I mean, we don't have an idea what this is gonna end up being.
So the road improvement fund is designated strictly for road maintenance. It is not in reference to capital equipment or capital vehicle purchases. When we pay cash for this equipment, that is a request I do not have to make against the general fund.
So, wait a minute, go back and say that again? Because my understanding that the $1 million for Public Works was $1 million for Public Works. That means whatever Public Works needs, whether they're vehicles, whether they're equipment.
Roads.
It's for road improvements. It's actually called the Road Improvement Fund.
We made that, I may be speaking, we made a line item for roads. Remember?
But you also have a T-Splosh that's generating over $12 or $15 million a year for road improvement. So why do we need two budgeted items at the same time? I get it. I know you didn't have equipment, but I'm just saying, we're talking about dollars and cents. Why are we doing two things? That's just my only concern. We don't need $1 million for road if we designated $15 million. And even if we said this money for T-Splosh is only for fixing roads, what about the excess funding that we never expected to get that has been collected over T-Splosh? Why can't that be used for any other road improvements? It's excess. Help me out.
Yes,
You
ma'am.
see I'm
So
struggling.
the T-Splosh funds were designated for very specific roads. We had a list for 5 years that we are following without compromise. The Tier 2 position of our T-Splosh did afford us to purchase some equipment for the road department. Specifically, the mastic machine came out of the Tier 2. There was a couple other pieces of equipment that
Right. Asphalt-related equipment.
that were extremely asphalt related, but the $1 million that is sitting in the road improvement funds help us satisfy the pothole issues that we have across the county, and it's also satisfying the repair of the bridge that's at Jordan Hill and Teeman Road that was not expected. So during the rain event that occurred in January, that bridge got just washed away. And here we are in March, and we have satisfied the requirements of pouring the first level of concrete, and the paving company is scheduled week after next or next week.
So that would be Valley Hill, would be the paving company.
Please forgive me.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
that was the second road that got washed away during the February rain event. So those $1 million sitting there, they are being used for exactly what you're asking them to be used for outside of the requirements of the T-Splosh.
So what I'm hearing from you, that you, when I say you, and I mean the board, because I don't recall this and that doesn't mean anything, have decided that road improvements, in some instances, can be equipment to help work on the road. But you decide when that happens.
The equipment for the road department that comes out of T-Splosh was pre-designated, and it was defined under Tier 2. And we know exactly what that's going to be because it was inside of the T-Splosh referendum. The $1 million that was set aside for the road improvement projects, that did not have any equipment attached to it. That is solely for material, potholes, chip and seal is a part of that, but it's also for side road buildup for Areas like North McDonald Road, where we continue to have issues on the side of the road, where the side of the road washes away because of rain. That's the type of equipment the material, not equipment, that's the type of material that we are using that $1 million for road improvement. We're not buying any equipment out of it.
Right, but a mastic machine has to have some way to pull it, and it's a machine. Why is it not a machine? You're saying we're not buying machines, but you're buying machines. I'm sorry, I'm just verbalizing that I'm confused because I hear something, but
Now, the
We're doing
question
something
you
else.
asked in the beginning is a very solid question. Should we put the, however much money we get
The
from the salvage into his big budget, and then he allocates it down to Public Works? That's a very, TJ, of course, would love to have it directly sent to his organization.
Budget.
It may be a better way to do it is to send it to the county big budget and let the county manager decide whether it needs to go to TJ or not. That's a big question that it's a good thought.
may I ask just one more question? TJ, are we spending that $1 million completely every year?
Yes, ma'am. Getting as close as I can.
That's all I
Do
got.
we have a motion yet?
Yeah, I
You do
second
James
it.
and Rita.
Oh, yeah, okay. Now, so, right now, let's say, we have a motion and a second for it to go to TJ. I want to make sure that that's what everybody still agrees
That
with.
can always change, so yeah, that's fine.
All right.
We can change it for next year if he gets.
Any more discussion? All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. 4. All those opposed? 1.
Just real quick again, I want to make sure, when we approve item 2 about the repairs to the airport road, that priority list that you were talking about, do we need to make a separate motion to make sure that the list that we're on designated for 2026 is moved up? Is that part of that?
I thought that was part of the motion.
was-
That is it? I
Yes,
want to make
ma'am.
sure it is part.
Yep.
We'll begin on that project
Okay.
immediately.
The motion was to
All right.
move it up.
Doing double check.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's see here now. Item number 4, consider a request from Carl Humphreys, Spalding County Warden, to approve Peace Officers Annuity Benefit Fund Agreement for inmate work detail contract. Hello, Warden, how are you?
Good evening. I received a request a couple of months ago from the director of the Georgia Peace Officers and Annuity Benefit Fund requesting inmate labor to maintain their grounds. It is state property, and this is basically an agreement that would supply inmates to maintain those grounds. We use the same concept that we did with Orchard Hill. They will be charged to do the work. Based on what we've seen, it's probably take about 2 hours every other week to complete the work.
Yes, I do have a question. You're done, right?
Ma'am?
You were completed, you had completed?
Yes, ma'am.
So, we got inmates, the state won't hardly pay us for what it cost us to keep them. Now they want to borrow them, and we're gonna charge them back for using their own inmates. I'm confused, Warden. I mean, that is just convoluted. And do we actually expect that they're gonna actually pay us? Because they're not paying us the first money just for keeping them. So how do we work with that?
I really don't know how to clear that up, but
That
I'm
sounds
sorry,
good.
but do you understand what I'm saying? It's convoluted.
I guess the best way to put this is that the POAB it is on state property, but it is a separate entity from the state. And the reason for the request is basically they normally contract out this service, and they have not been able to find a contractor that will consistently provide the service for them. So they're reaching out for inmate assistance for this. And because they are state inmates, they were making the request.
God bless.
So is this the office that was up on North Expressway?
No,
That's-
no,
it's not
ma'am,
the
it's
same
out
place,
on
is it?
Greenbelt
Yes, ma'am, it
Parkway.
was the office that was up on North Expressway. At one time, they have moved down to the Griffin Industrial Park. But yeah, they, initially, they were up there. This is the Peace Officers Annuity Benefit Fund.
CSB.
So this is not the state asking us, this is an organization, the peace officers.
Correct.
That's correct. And it is state property, it's owned by state property, so legally, we would allow inmates to work on that property.
Not a gratuity.
So what about the, do you have an officer already, a detail officer, or will you have to hire a new detail officer to go with this work group?
No, TJ would use the staffing that he currently has.
Okay, so this would just be added to the assignments that TJ has already?
That's correct.
Okay,
Do I have a motion to approve?
motion to approve.
Second, all right. Any more discussion? All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. 5-0, motion carries.
Thank
you,
you.
Gordon. Item number 5, consider request for out-of-state use of Spalding County motor coach to travel to Tampa, Florida, to transport neighbors to the cruise port. Dr.
Neighbors?
Oh, TJ, I'm sorry. Go
Not
ahead.
Kelly.
Hello, Kelly.
I'm filling in for
Oh, we're going,
her. My turn.
Go ahead.
This would be identical to past requests. As you know, you need to approve, it's requested that you approve all out-of-state travel. They will be going on a cruise. The bus driver is an employee of Spalding County, but when he parks the bus, he goes off the clock, and then he'll drive the bus back. So it's identical to all previous requests.
So, but the people wanting to use the bus, the making tracks, whatever, will they do hotel accommodations for our employee? Because they're not coming back before they bring them back, are they?
They pay for our employee to go on the cruise.
Oh, the employees gets to go on the cruise
Yes.
too?
And then they pay the expenses of the bus as well.
You want to become a bus driver?
I sure do.
Okay. Motion to approve?
Where'd you say the port they were going to?
please forgive me, I listed on your agenda this evening that it was Tampa. They are actually porting out of Canaveral.
Canaveral.
Let's even closer.
Motion to approve the request by is it Making Tracks?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Making
ma'am.
Tracks Travel Club to use a big white, whatever color it is, to travel to Port Canaveral for a cruise and to travel back in however many days it takes for them to do whatever they're gonna do on a boat.
Okay. I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. 5-0, motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Bye, Kelly.
Consider a joint proclamation with the city of Griffin recognizing the 100-year anniversary of the Griffin Rotary Club. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
All right, I have a motion to approve. I have a second. Any more discussion? This is on the 7th. All those in favor, please signify by raising your hands. 5-0, motion carries. Thank you. Item number 7, consider appointment of Commissioner Flowers Taylor to the Spalding County Collaborative Board.
Motion to approve?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is this just my appointment?
One appointment.
I think you have to approve it.
You have to approve it.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. 5-0, motion carries. Thank you.
Vote for yourself. It's okay, though.
I just want them to know I'm willingly taking it.
Item number 7, old business. Lift from the table and consider request from John Kraus for a letter of support for the development of an assisted living facility at the corner of Highway 92 and Cowan Road. Do I have a motion to lift?
Motion to lift.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. 5-0. Do I have a motion to approve a letter of support for the memory and retirement home?
So I missed the thing. And did Mr. Kraus come?
He zoomed in, yes.
Okay, so what I would like to know and I hadn't heard it, I haven't seen where anybody commented on this. We had some comments from our attorney about this, not our zoning attorney.
Okay?
And are you willing to address that, Stephanie?
Yes, I've responded to Mr. Galloway. He was looking for just basically an explanation as to whether or not the project had changed hands, and I did provide that explanation to him, that it is the same people that have been on the project since the very beginning, more than a decade ago.
Okay.
And you agree with this, what we're doing? This
Yes, sir.
This doesn't obligate us for.
Not in any way.
Okay.
And this is for a letter of support for them bringing that facility.
It's, in order for them to get some new market tax credits, they are required to have community letters of support. This is just a letter that states that this is the type of development that would be helpful here in Spalding County, and that you would support this type of development.
And they have another number of other letters, he said.
They do, from Rock Springs, from First Assembly, from Dr. Lacey, from Southern Crescent, from several other organizations.
The real issue is, do we need this kind of development inside of Spalding County? That's what the real.
Commissioner Flowers Taylor, they mentioned a couple of because they're gonna build it, but then like a management company comes in and run it, and they mentioned the names of the folks they were working with, and I
Yes.
looked them up. They seem very highly rated, both by themselves, obviously, but then also there's like rating organizations and stuff.
Yeah, they said they had like
They run one
6
in
or 7 or
Fayetteville and- yeah.
something like that already
So,
going.
just so for the record, I know that there is a great need for senior facilities here that meet a certain standard. We're
Right.
definitely on the low end of that.
And a memory care, we need memory care.
Memory care units, even
Yeah,
more.
I mean, that, most nursing homes are supposed to be that, but, offering this specialty, I just, was concerned, and I still am concerned, that many of our residents will be outpriced in trying to get in, so that is my concern.
And this has to go through our entire process.
It does.
as we get
It
into
has, and it's
When they
been
get-
through many iterations.
Okay.
So did we get a motion already?
No, ma'am.
Okay, I would like to make a motion to approve a letter of support for Mr. John Kraus's project on Highway 92 across the street from First Assembly Church.
For the purposes of the tax credit, like not necessarily the.
Yes.
Correct.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. 5-0. Motion carries. Item number 9, report of the county manager.
Just a couple of things, and I'll make it very brief this evening. First, thank you for today. It was a privilege to spend time with you and go through some of the challenges that we went through today, so thank you very much for that. And in light of brevity, I will close my remarks and provide a much deeper update at our next meeting in 2 weeks.
Thank you. Commissioner,
I did owe the
Johnson?
county manager on that. I'll save my remarks too for the next 2 weeks
okay.
as well. But I want to thank the lady for bringing us the information on the animal shelter. Very helpful. Just reading through this. Thank you very much.
Commissioner Dutton?
Yeah, I wanted to get into animal shelter as well. We've already, I don't know, we've been chatting about this already up here. Some really interesting things, like the ability for dogs to play together and be in the same kennel together and stuff like this. And I don't know, it seems one of those sixth man on the artillery line, like, but they've always been separate. They've always, well, maybe there's some best practices that would actually make it also more cost effective if they're and then make it better for them. Anyway, there's some cool stuff there. We're really excited. We know that we've got some obvious issues, but hear us say once again, we're conscious of them. We're working on it like nonstop. So, and that's thanks in a large part to our awesome county manager, who is again conscious of the issue and working hard on it. I just wanted to call him out yet again for how awesome he is. Let's see. One thing. I've brought it up with a lot of y'all individually, but it's actually going to be on our next agenda for the Orchard Hill. They're
Renaming?
they're not renaming the road, but they're like honoring a
Resident.
a resident who perished at an intersection. And I think they're gonna need our sign guys to print the sign or whatever and put it up or whatever, but nothing.
Okay, we just
nothing
gotta
crazy,
have
but-
policy on, make sure we're inside our policy on that.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay? All right.
Again, they've already vetted it and gone through but I think where they want the sign on our side is like just outside the city limits anyway,
Whoop.
so that's why they have to come to us, so anyway, just wanted to put that bug in your ear. I've been working with them for months and months on this, so.
Okay, good. Commissioner Flowers Taylor?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, animal shelter. Per the last meeting, I volunteered that I would go out and try to help at the animal shelter, and I have probably spent about 5 different days out at the shelter. And it's very sad. It's sad to me, and I'm very grateful when I go home at night that my dogs do have a clean, warm place to sleep and they get to go outdoors. Thank you, I think it was Julia who gave us these papers. This kind of thing is important. I don't look at the animals that are in the shelter like they're prisoners, but that's what we treat them like. And anybody needs to have fresh air on a daily basis. There's no window, so I'm committed to making it community friendly, and we're still searching for supervision, but it is clear to me that there's a chasm between the relationship we have as a county and volunteers. And I know we want it to be different, but we have to be able to respect each other. I'm hoping that some of the things that we're talking about, and my understanding, I forgot who said it, but the runs are supposed to actually be 6 runs, not 3 runs. And I thank the warden for coming out and doing the volunteer session, but it disappoints me that we didn't take advantage of that and get as many people in front of him as we possibly could. And that's still a little bit of disjointedness because people are not necessarily knowing what the other person is doing. But I think the group of people that are coming out there and the people that are working there have the potential to really do something good over there. And I agree with you. If the cats are in a clean room, let them play on the floor. That's why we got the big carpet sticks that's sticking up out of the floor. So I agree with you on a lot of stuff, but I also know that we have liabilities, and without the warden guiding us through this, we won't be successful in it. I think that we had a really good session today. I appreciate it. Nobody wants to hear anything bad about themselves. I don't even want to hear anything bad about me, but I'm so used to hearing bad stuff about me, I'm kind of used to it. Everybody's not built for that. And sometimes you just have to kind of take the layers off and just be upfront. And I felt like that's the kind of workshop we had today that can help move us forward. And that's all I have.
Okay. Vice Chair?
I'll have everything.
One, I ditto the comment that everybody's made about the executive session today. 2, a number of people called me about the bridge at Jordan Hill and Teeman. End of March is the time frame we're talking about, so everybody who is interested in that, making sure I've said that. Mr. Johnny McDaniel, who is the chairman of the Tax Assessor Board, is coming to our next meeting to brief us on where we are with the tax assessment process so far. Our intent is every other month that he will come in and brief us as we get closer and closer to tax assessments and see if the numbers that we're hearing are the numbers that are going to come out on that. I'd like to make sure that everybody marks down on your calendar 10 May. Reminder that ACCG is coming up in April. We'll be there for a number of days. All right. Anything from DeAndre? Okay. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right. All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. 5-0. We're adjourned.
Ryan?
Shoes on, it's time for me to go home.